1 in 5 adults have experienced domestic abuse in England and Wales. At Callan, we know how hard it is to leave an abuser and how much there is to unpick after the relationship is over. The Lotus project at Callan DVS supports survivors of domestic abuse who have also been subjected to sexual violence.
Talking about sex can be coupled with feelings of embarrassment and shame. What constitutes a healthy sex life can also feel a bit ambiguous, and the very subjective nature of sexual desire and what is normal in relationships is not helped by how taboo it is to talk about sex openly and honestly in our society. Unfortunately, this taboo means a lot of behaviour that constitutes sexual abuse is also not discussed in wider society.
In a society that still perpetuates rape myths such as they didn't fight or scream or but they were wearing provocative clothing, it can be confusing to try and understand sexual abuse if it doesn't align with the myths we are told. Consent can get blurred within intimate relationships, as it's often assumed that consent has been given just by being in the relationship with that person. Some survivors of sexual abuse in relationships may say things like,
"I'll get nagged if I don't do it, so I just go along with it."
They get really moody and take it out on the kids if they don't have enough sex.
Sometimes when I'm asleep, it'll start, and I'll wake up when it's happening. Sexual abuse and coercion isn't always easy to spot and can be confusing if the sex is enjoyable or at times consensual. At the start of a relationship, an abuser can love bomb their partner, showering them with compliments, attention, and gifts as a way to develop an intense emotional bond with them. This can also involve having a lot of sex at the beginning of a relationship, and that develops an intimate connection and excitement. Once these intense feelings of love and passion have been experienced by the survivor, it can keep them locked into the relationship, even when their partner changes their behaviour. The abuser will exploit the survivor's need to maintain this powerful connection by pushing boundaries and their own agenda. Sometimes the only time the couple have good time together is when they are having sex, so it can be difficult for the survivor to understand the coercion they're experiencing.
It's normal for people to be left with feelings of shame and guilt for having sex with someone who was abusive, and they won't always identify with having been sexually abused. At the Lotus Project, we explore what consent looked like in the relationship and how it was obtained. When consent becomes unenthusiastic and sex becomes a way to keep the peace or an obligation, we can begin to understand how sex was used amongst other abusive tactics to control and manipulate someone.
At the Lotus Project, we want to open the conversation about sexual abuse in relationships. We find that providing a safe, confidential space to explore this without judgment allows the people we support to stop blaming themselves for what was done to them and start moving towards a life free from sexual abuse.